Hey everyone, it is Denise Salcedo with the Sportster, and I'm excited to introduce to you my guest for today. I was very happy to have discovered him this past weekend at PWG and land this interview. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Rocketwheel, Jack Cartwheel. What's up, Jack?
What's up? How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. And I was so excited to talk to you because here's the thing is that my first time watching you wrestle was this past weekend at PWG Mystery Vortex 7. And your match with
Yes.
Tony Deppen was absolutely awesome. And I ended up watching more of your work afterwards, but it was kind of like an eye opener. So I was just absolutely, pretty amazed by you. How was your experience with PWG?
Man, it was awesome. It was really cool to get to see the Globe Theater. I've only seen like videos and stuff coming up to that, and then being able to meet all these really notable names, all these really cool people that I've looked up to for the past couple years. So just the whole experience and the way that everyone treated each other. There was no like disrespect. Like everyone was super welcoming. There wasn't people who were trying to like bully me or anything. So it was fun. That's cool.
That's really good to hear. And here's the thing though, is that, PWG has set the bar so high with the type of matches that you expect and also the type of competitors that you see there. And even the people who attend the shows, it's kind of like it's a pretty cool atmosphere. It's a hard ticket to get. So with that being said, what was your reaction when you got this PWG booking and how did that come about for you?
Well, I definitely didn't believe it at first. I was told like I might receive some type of message from someone, and I was like, okay, yeah, like we'll see, when it happens, because I wouldn't want to put all of my eggs in a basket and then not be able to count them. I forgot.
You don't want to put your eggs all in one basket
There
because
we
you just
go.
never
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. Yeah, I was stoked. I was super excited. It was one of my goals earlier this year to attend a PWG show, like maybe help out in the ring. I could even show you right here. It's in my goals list that like was to help out at one of the shows. So to be in it at this stage is awesome.
I was gonna say because there are so many people and that I don't know how to word this. They would maybe kill to be at PWG or have been doing this for a long time and haven't necessarily gotten that opportunity because there's a certain I think a certain amount of talent that you gotta have to be at these shows. So it is a pretty awesome experience. And I love the fact that you actually had it written down. So here's the thing that I kind of wanted to mention to you. So during the show, so I mentioned that you guys opened up the show and it was such a fun match. Like I kid you not, like I was like jumping up and down in my seat, etc. It was a good way to kick off the show. During the intermission, I was there with my friend Mark Ramondi from ESPN. He covers MMA and whatnot, and then also Dave Meltzer was there. And so like the first thing that when we all kind of got together during this intermission, the first thing that we were talking about was you. And Dave kind of mentioned like how impressed he was by you, and we were all like, oh yeah, like kind of sharing our thoughts on you. And I kind of wanted to let you know because how does it feel to have somebody like Dave Meltzer who essentially put you over?
It's awesome. It's really cool. I think that's what most wrestlers, I mean, not all wrestlers, that's what most wrestlers look after is to be seen and to be liked and to be regarded in such a positive way, and especially to have people who have had eyes throughout the whole world who know like everything about wrestling and stuff, that I'm doing the right stuff, that I'm doing the right moves in terms of like how I carry myself, and it's really awesome, really cool experience.
That's really exciting. So now I did mention that I got to watch a couple of your matches at GCW, and I noticed that a lot of the work that you've done has been for GCW, and we're actually going to be on a show together this weekend. But by the time this interview airs, the show would have already happened. So I kind of want to get your what has your experience been like working for a company like Game Changer Wrestling?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's interesting though because I'm still like a really young guy. I'm not as young as Charlie, but It's definitely weird in that sort of way, you know, in terms of like hanging out and going and doing stuff. And so it's really awesome in terms of just being there, just being able to fly places, to do the thing that I love already. You know, that's so cool. Just to be going just to different states. I've never been to Texas before. I got to go this past month, and it was super awesome. I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if it weren't for wrestling and GCW. And just to be able to be on that platform, it's a very nerve-wracking experience, but something that you got to learn how to love in order to do this, you know?
Exactly. So now, okay, we mentioned PWG, we mentioned GCW. So let's kind of rewind a little bit because we kind of jumped right into kind of like the more recent stuff. But I do kind of want to rewind and have people get to know you a little bit more. So, so some of these questions may sound, you know, a little generic, but the point is that I do want to get across, you know, who you are to the people. So I kind of want to just get started with how long have you been wrestling for?
So, I went to my very, very, very first training. I went in the summer of 2018, but it was weird. I got like for some reason, I thought it was like a scam. For some reason, when I went to my first practice, I thought it was like a scam or something. So I didn't wrestle throughout that fall. I also had football. It was my senior year of high school. Then after, I was like, you know what? Like, let me give that same place like another try. And so then after that, I went in December 2018 was when I started training. I debuted in April 2019. I'm sorry, what was the question?
I kind of, I wanted to get how long you been wrestling for.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, April 2019, I guess, is when I had like my first matches and like rumbles and stuff. And I didn't have like my first like official debut match at like my home promotion with like a singles match again until June of 2019. And sorry, yeah, June of 2019. And yeah, it was super fun. And I did a couple rumbles and a couple tag matches, you know, here and there at little fairs or at other shows, just whenever I could fill in, you know, you come with your bag always.
Of course.
And yeah, so around a little bit more than 2 years.
So, okay, I know you're based in Sacramento, right? Where exactly did you, what was your first, like, where did you train at, and what was like your home promotion?
So I trained at Supreme Pro Wrestling, SPW, from with Sir Samurai and Scoot Robertson. And those guys are just amazing minds when it comes to wrestling. You know, Sir Samurai, you can ask him anything in terms of creativity or like history, and he knows, like, and he just has such a great mind for it. And yeah, so I started training there. We had a little storage unit, and you know, there's a ring in there, and we would go practice 3 times a week. And I think I learned even more though, just riding with them to every single show. You know, they would say, hey, we have like show here, here, and here this weekend. If any of the students want to come, like, you can come and learn. So that was also where I got a lot of the knowledge I felt like that I didn't get throughout practice. But yeah.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes, right? Like you go to school, right? You have your training, but you don't really learn until you're actually, you know, on the job. It's like one thing to have, you know, matches at school, but then, you know, to have your matches in front of, you know, a crowd and all of that, and I'd promote different promotions, different wrestlers, etc. You know, so with that being said, it kind of feels to me like you're moving along pretty fast though, and you're starting to get this, you know, this momentum going, and I think that's pretty incredible. So here's the thing though, for those who haven't seen your in-ring work yet, I mean, they don't call you the Rocketwheel for no specific reason. I mean, you're very, very athletic. You're going out there and doing all of these crazy, you know, stunts, crazy maneuvers. What is your athletic background?
So I did gymnastics since I was really little, like jamboree type stuff, like between 3 to like 5 or whatever. But I mean, obviously that was just like more like daycare. But I did do like actual gymnastics, you know, from like 6 to like 16 probably. I did it for a long time. I was a vault California silver medalist, so that was cool. I placed on floor, so like floor and vault were my main things in gymnastics. I didn't love pommel horse. I wasn't very great at it. You know, I've short arms and a big butt. I'm not going to be good at pommel horse. And then P bars and rings and high bar. Yeah, so I did all that. I played football. So I started football in sixth grade, and I played all throughout middle school and high school. And then now I also play at Chapman University. But then also I did amateur wrestling for about a year. I didn't love it. It was cool. But it wasn't for me. I also started way too late. You know, I started as a junior in high school, which is kind of late in that sport. You know, once you get to that level, most kids have been doing it for 3, 4, 5 years, and it was hard to just jump in without a lot of experience and without an off season. So yeah, so that's my athletic background. Oh,
Yeah.
powerlifting too. I did a good amount of powerlifting because my dad's a powerlifter.
It feels to me like you're very well-rounded, and now I'm starting to see why all the pieces were connecting when you were in the ring. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get like, okay, so here we go, because I got a lot of questions out of that.
Yes.
You know, you have the gymnastics, you're doing the football, you do the amateur wrestling and all of that. When did you decide, like, okay, out of all these different things that you're doing, hey, I'm going to go ahead and start pursuing a career in professional wrestling?
Well, it was so I stopped gymnastics after my sophomore year of high school because I had like really bad issues with my lower back and they weren't really getting better. But I mean, that wasn't only it. Like there was other things. But so that was sophomore year. Then junior year, I did wrestling throughout like the winter and winter and like springtime. But I didn't love that. And then so senior year, I was like, oh, I have all this time to do whatever I'd like. It's great to finally jump in and try to do that thing that sounds really fun to do, you know, pro wrestling.
And so, you grew up a wrestling fan though, and all of that, right? Or how did your fandom start?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I actually really didn't. I definitely watched it every now and then. You know, if it was on, I wouldn't turn it off. But I didn't really watch it the way that I feel like a lot of wrestlers watched wrestling growing up. I definitely had a wrestling phase for about a year, around like 12 or 13. And then I got back into it around 16 until like now. So I guess 16, I started rewatching it and just way more intrigued than I was before. And it didn't really seem like something that I would want to do until like, so I had this weird like time where I kind of could tell that I might not be making it in football, but there's this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
I do
The
not
like
actually.
entrepreneur guy. Well, he's like a motivational speaker, and he had this really cool quote that I really loved. And he said, like, you don't want to do something for fame or fortune, but you want to like do something for a feeling, right? Like a really cool feeling. That also happened to be the same day as WrestleMania 33 in Orlando with like the really cool like roller coaster thing. And it was okay, so because I've gotten made fun of for this. Because Roman Reigns was actually entering down like the really big ramp. They had this huge, like awesome entranceway. And then one of my friends was like, yo, if like that must be like the coolest feeling like ever in the world. And I'm like, oh damn, like if I were to like be chasing some type of feeling, some type of thing, it could be something like that. So yeah, that's when I decided that that's something that I actually wanted to pursue instead of just something that I would watch.
That was like the moment for you. No, I love that because I feel like I can actually relate to that, without making this about me. I had a similar moment like that, when it came to broadcasting. So I completely understand where like you see somebody doing something and you're just like, I connect with that. I feel like I can do that. So, you go to training, but there's so many people that are like, oh, I see what this person is doing and I want to do the same thing. But then they go and they find out that it's a lot harder than it looks, especially something like professional wrestling. So, you go to wrestling school. When was that moment for you where you were like, okay, like was it instantaneously where you're like, I can do this and I can keep moving forward with this? Or was there ever a moment where you're like, oof, like this might be a lot harder than I thought?
I would say that there's definitely been times of both. When I first started wrestling, I got the bumps down really quickly and it kind of didn't really set on to me that like this is like the basics. Like this was supposed to take like a long time to get, you know, like the first couple practices, I was doing all the bumps and it felt fine. So getting through that learning curve wasn't as hard for me that I feel like it was for a lot of other wrestlers. But there were definitely times like maybe setting up ring crew or going on a really long drive or coming back from a really long drive where I'm like, dude, like I'm getting back at like 2 a.m. and like my mom is like looking over me. She's like, hey, like I know you're going out like and you're doing these things, but like you're getting back really late, you know? And she was just concerned. I mean, which happens.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, in those types of senses, like, dang, like if this is something I really want to do, like I must really want to do this. You know, it can't be something that can be lackadaisical. But yeah.
That's awesome. So now, okay, you mentioned the gymnastics background, and then
Mhm.
obviously I've seen you incorporate that in your wrestling a whole lot. Was it hard to sort of combine both of those two different pieces, or did it kind of just click for you?
I think a lot of it clicked for me for sure. There's a couple moves that I do that are legitimately gymnastics moves that like I do like this cast handstand elbow, which is like a cast handstand on the high bar. There's a couple other things that I'm still working on trying to get down better before I actually do them in matches. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of similar parallels between gymnastics and wrestling in a lot of ways. And I do think that some wrestlers could take it too far, and that's something that I'm trying to be very conscious of, to not only be doing stuff just to do stuff, you know. But it's definitely important to have that aspect to my my character, you know.
100%. You know, it's a balance. And I just feel like obviously, like the more you do, the more you learn, the more you work, etc. It's just going to keep growing and growing from there. So, you know, obviously now you said 2018. So you've been in the business now for about what, 3-4 years now. So with that being said, is there like somebody that you maybe like would like to see your career mirror theirs, or kind of, I just kind of get an idea of where you see yourself like in the next couple of years. Where do you see yourself like in the business, and what do you want to be doing?
I genuinely have no clue, like, because I think that wrestling right now is wild, right? Like I feel like there's no way of telling the next 4 or 5 years of wrestling in terms of where people want to be, who's watching what, where, you know, because obviously, like when I first got into wrestling, WWE is pretty much all I knew, and now going through all the independents and learning about all these like the lucha and like the Japanese wrestling, there's so many cool options. And so I don't know. I don't know what or where I guess I would be. I think Chris Jericho had a really cool life in terms of like he went to Mexico, he went to Japan, then he went to WWE, you know, and then you know, so like I think something like that could be cool. It's something where be able to travel, which is another really big thing of mine. You know, I like wrestling's awesome because you get to travel, you get to do those really cool things, you get to go to those cool places. So I don't know who exactly or where, but I'll just let the wind take me, you know.
No, that is super awesome. And you just never know. Like, if anything, like the last year or so has taught us that really anything can happen in the world of professional wrestling. And being a wrestler, you get to go to all of these different places and do all of these different shows. So you really do, like, you don't know like where you'll end up, which is really really awesome there. So I also kind of want to get an idea of you mentioned Chris Jericho, you mentioned the Roman Reigns moment, but who are some of the wrestlers that like you look up to, that you admire, or that you're a fan of?
Kota Ibushi for sure. When I started watching wrestling a lot more, I watched his stuff and thought he was super cool. Just like freaking awesome. Him, Pac, Dolph Ziggler is actually probably one of my favorite wrestlers for sure. Growing up, Goldberg was my favorite wrestler for a good amount of time. I actually really loved Ryback too. Back when Ryback just first started, he was my favorite at that time. And like I even look at ACH. ACH is also one of my favorite wrestlers. I'll watch his matches all day. Bandito also, which is really freaking cool to be able to meet him.
I was gonna say, and he was on the
Yeah.
same card. Well, a
Oh yeah.
champion and all of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I guess there aren't as many of the older wrestlers that I think most of the wrestlers look up to as their favorites and stuff, because I just didn't watch back then. You know, that just wasn't something that came to me firsthand. You know, watching back, obviously I can still look at it and respect it and say like, oh wow, this stuff is amazing, but I don't have the same connection to those guys as I do with the guys that I actually watched, you know?
Exactly. I get you 100%. And now, you mentioned the fact that, your career has been going and all of that. But here's the thing about like wrestling. I feel like you also get the way to grow is connecting with people and them seeing you on the shows, and then that person spreading the word and kind of getting like getting your brand out there, getting who you are out there helps you get more bookings and grow more and more. Is there anybody that has either been like mentoring you that you feel like or somebody that has provided you some really good career advice, somebody that's been helping you out in general, maybe help grow your career?
I mean, Effie for sure is someone that I've talked to since in the last couple months, I guess. So not throughout the whole time, but the last couple months, he said some really smart things, saying that you want to have something that a fan can look outside of wrestling and say like, oh, that reminds me of that guy, like something that can hold your brand to like things and objects that remind people of you, if they're, as long as they're thinking of you in some type of way, that'd be a great idea. And then also Sir Samurai, you know, he's understands that character part, that aspect of like your aura and your personality all has to intertwine with your wrestling, and it's got to be consistent. So yeah, I guess that.
No, I really like that. And I feel like you're already kind of doing that. You have the Rocketwheel. I was watching your video that you have pinned on your Twitter account, and I saw all of like different imagery that you were using in that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty different. I haven't seen that before. So that was pretty cool as well. So kudos on that there. So now I feel like I'm just like, there's so many different directions that we can go here, but I kind of want to get at your couple of shows that you have coming up. Again, we mentioned that you're going to be at GCW this week. Can you tell us about some of the shows that you're going to be working on next, and some of the shows that you have lined up? Anything like that?
All my focus right now, all my focus is on GCW this weekend. I'm going to be in a scramble with one of my trainers right now. So after I trained at Supreme Pro Wrestling, once I moved to Southern California, I've started training with the Lucha Homies Lucha School. So I'm in that same scramble with Lil Cholo and Nick Wayne, and it'll be super fun, and I'm just excited. I'm ready for it. And then the other shows. So right now, I'm not exactly sure what else I have lined up. I do play college football, which is going to be very difficult throughout the next couple months to try to balance. You know, right now I have 2 shows throughout September that will be on Sundays. So I'll be able to work those. It'll be for LLI Lucha. And that's pretty much all I really have right now, to be honest, which sucks, which really hurts because of just, you know, how great everything could be in the next couple months. But I know that it'll be over in 3 months, and I'll be right back at it.
So you got college football, you got, obviously the wrestling stuff. Are you also like studying a major?
Yeah, so I'm a double major in business administration with the emphasis on analytics and economics.
Wow. Oh my God. I was like, you're just nailing it on the athletic side, on the academic side. Man, you got a lot going on. That's for sure. But no, I mean, this is really awesome. I'm honestly very excited for you, because I'm telling you, if you are somebody that like on a PWG card that just like really stands out, like I feel like that is nothing but a pro from there. Hopefully, I'm hoping to see your name on another PWG show coming up. And again, I'll see you tomorrow for GCW. But Jack, that's about it it for us here today. Seriously, thank you so much for chatting with me. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably catch up again in another interview in the future. But before we go, feel free to plug in any of your social media accounts, etc.
Oh, I would love to. You have such a big following. I would
Don't worry,
love
and
to.
I'm gonna promote this too, like on
Sweet.
Twitter and all
Great.
of that. I'll tell the people like get to know him because when I was like,
Get
when
to know
you blow
Jack.
up,
Follow
I'm gonna be
Jack.
like, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be like, Denise said you'd be a fan of his.
He said to follow. But yeah, so Instagram's Jack Cartwheel, and then Twitter's also Jack Cartwheel. My Facebook is Jack Cartwright, and on Twitter, my handle might also pop up with Rocketwheel. So yeah, those would be that, and I am making a pro wrestling tees store right now, so it's not up yet, but it should be up soon. So it should be under Jack Cartwheel, I'm guessing. I don't know exactly. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. And if you want to follow me, that'd be great. Or yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty. So, guys, I will be posting all of the links in the description box below so you guys can follow Jack Cartwheel. Again, I'll be posting all of that there. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We will be bringing more interviews to you in the future. But until next time, I'm Denise Salcedo. This is the Rocketwheel Jack Cartwheel, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.